Get all your grass cut, Steve?
I hope so. Now we gotta start all over again.
Yeah.
I spent the afternoon at the lake yesterday cutting grass.
How do you cut it on the water?
Very carefully. I use big tires on the lawnmower.
I saw you got that lot, habitat lot cut too, huh?
Yeah. Picked up another habitat lot over on 10th Street, 900 block of 10th Street.
Oh, nice.
It's gonna be a nice house when they redo it, but right now it's the ugliest red you've ever seen.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. But a nice big lot. Some family's gonna get an awful nice place there.
Where's it at? About?
Well, due east of UPS and North Star Cycle, right in that area.
Oh.
Here's Julie.
Hello. I had to be let in.
Welcome aboard.
Hey, hello.
Hey, there's
Everybody there?
Everybody but Gary.
Yeah, he just disappeared.
Yeah, he was there and he disappeared.
That's what happens when you let a monkey with stuff. The cat probably ran across his computer.
Wait, let's
Or it could have been the snake.
see. Your video is stopped.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah,
I
I'm
thought
gonna. I'm gonna join in. I'm gonna leave and come back. Can you hear me, Joe?
I can hear you. Can't see you though.
I'm gonna leave and come back. I'm gonna come back.
Don't let him, Craig.
That's called a mutiny, Steve.
That was Al that said that.
Oh, is that? Oh.
I'll take credit for it, but that was Al.
But it was a very Steve-like comment.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Thought he said he was coming back.
There he is.
I'm here.
There he is. Oh, he's
There he
outside.
is.
Hey, Al. Can you hear me, Al?
Yep, I can.
Okay, Al. I just want to send my sincere condolences to you and Paula and just Steve too and Linda. But I really liked your dad. I got to know him, Al, pretty well. And Claudia got to know him years ago when he used to go to cardiac rehab with Steve. At cardiac rehab. So she sure liked your dad too. And I remember even at his 90th birthday party there, and he will be missed, Al. You had a great dad. Just, I want you to know that, Al.
Yeah, thank you, Gary. Appreciate that.
Yeah, well, it is, and you just take care, and we're thinking of you. Hey, Joey.
Hey, Gary. How you doing?
Joe, I am doing all right. You're looking pretty damn good, Joe.
Oh,
Mayor.
boy. Flattery
yeah.
will get you. Flattery will get you anywhere.
Hey, are we about?
Mayor,
Well,
Before we get going,
Could we-
Before we get, can I add a couple of things to the agenda?
Okay, sure. Should we get the meeting going and then do it, Steve, or what?
Well,
We got everybody?
don't we usually do that beforehand, or do we do it?
No, I think once we
Okay.
start, anything to add,
Okay.
Steve?
Okay,
Is everybody here, Dar and
Yep.
Amanda and everybody? Julie, I think Julie's here, right?
Julie's here.
Yep.
Okay.
And Amanda here.
Okay, let's ask for a roll call. Amanda, could we take roll?
Hoagland,
Here.
Kriebig,
Here,
Danaway,
Here.
Buria,
Here,
Galco.
Here. Good to see you, Amanda. Okay, so we have the roll. Before we do that, could we take, is there anything to add? I know, Steve, I had talked to you. Does anyone?
Let's do the
Pledge of
pledge.
allegiance.
first.
Okay, you want to do the pledge first?
Yeah, let's do the pledge first.
Okay, let's stand and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the
The
flag
flag of the United
United
States of America and
and
to
to
the
the
republic for which it stands, one
one
nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with
with
liberty
and
and justice for all.
Okay, do you have anything to add?
I've got a couple here.
Okay, Steve.
First one is, let's call it small business support.
Okay, we'll put that under H. Under committee, small business support, you said, Steve, small. Okay, item H. Got you, Steve.
And then, we could, I don't know if you want to, where you want to put it, but, that Highway 5313 Avenue project, they had a,
Okay,
had a
go ahead.
meeting down it and I attended it.
Okay, well, let's just put under I. Is that okay, Steve? Under I.
Sure.
then. Highway, you can tell 53 project, and you
Yeah.
can go from there. Anyone else? Okay, we'll take, thanks, Steve. Before we get going today, what I'd like to do, gang, is to take a few minutes. I definitely will be giving other people a chance, but I do want to address the issue that is going on in our state right now. I feel it's something that we cannot ignore. I know I'm a leader of a mayor of a small town in northern Minnesota, but we are all Americans. We are all Minnesotans. And I just feel it's something that, and I'm speaking on my views are my own. When I'm done, I will give anybody who wants time. If anybody wants to comment on this George Floyd issue, you will be given time, so that's, everybody would have equal time. But I just like to begin, if I could, with, we just finished the phrase, the Pledge of Allegiance. And the last phrase there, and I think we all said it, was liberty and justice for all. I'll repeat that, liberty and justice for all. And, when you look at what happened last week, I guess it was a week ago today in Minneapolis, the killing of an unarmed Black man by a white officer, a police officer, Derek Chauvin in Minneapolis. I mean, this man was, cuffed, was face down, and this officer had his knee on his neck for nearly 9 minutes. There was 3 other officers there present who did absolutely nothing to come to Mr. Floyd's aid. And the sad thing, this is not an isolated incident. This incident these kind of incidents have been going on and on for too long. Today in our nation and even in our world, we are fighting two viruses. Number one, we all know of the coronavirus. It's new, it's unknown, and it's very deadly. But I really believe through science, we are going to defeat this virus. We will defeat it. The second virus we're facing in this country, to be honest, it's called racism. It's totally different than the coronavirus. It's not new. It's been around for a couple hundred years. It's not unknown, but is equally as deadly. And this one, unless we make major changes within ourselves, this virus, I don't think we're going to defeat. The first issue, we all know about the death of George Floyd. Now the second issue is how we react to it as a people. We all know, or most of us who follow history know, that peaceful protests, peaceful, and I stress the word peaceful, are guaranteed to us by the First Amendment, the right to assemble. That's guaranteed to all Americans. However, and most of these protests, I hate to say it, have been peaceful, but however, when you turn these protests into mob riots, causing violence, looting, the destruction of property, that can't be. That is not going. There is not a place in our society for activities like that. And what you're doing, you're losing the focus of what you're trying to protest. In this case, you're protesting the death of an unarmed man who was, I think, arrested for a $20 bill counterfeit, and you lose the whole concept of the focus, and you're dwelling on all the riots, the looting, the destruction of property, which is totally unacceptable. And then you go on and you sadly see that you're hearing reports that many of these rioters, these mob rioters are coming from different states. And we know it's not just Minneapolis, St. Paul, no, it's affected almost every major city in the United States and in Europe. It's contagious. And you have even worse. This morning there's reports out that some of these rioters are being paid just to create destruction and violence. And there's no doubt we today are living in a very, very sick society. And I just think there's one question that we have to ask all of us. It's a simple question, and it is, what is motivating all of this anger and frustration? I know the answer to that for me, but I think we all have to look at that question and answer it for ourselves. You know, I am the product of the 1960s, as some of you else are. I'm the oldest, so I remember maybe a little bit better. I think Joe would be next in line. But I am the product of the 60s, and I went through a very divided decade. We had a very controversial war, the Vietnam conflict, very controversial. We had a civil rights movement. We lost 3 national leaders through assassination. But I can tell you from personal experience, the hatred and the division in our country is a lot deeper and stronger today than it was back in the 1960s. You know, I'm going to be 72 now in the fall, so I feel, you know, I'm probably going to be okay or make it. But what really scares me, and I think most of you are in the same, but I think all of you, what kind of nation are we leaving for our children and our grandchildren? I have 2 boys or men, one 45, one 42. I have 5 grandchildren from 10 months to 21 years. And it just scares the heck out of me of what kind of nation and world are we leaving our future generations to live in. In closing, I want to use one quote taken from President Abraham Lincoln. The quote states, and I'm going to make it very carefully. Here's what came from a speech from Abraham Lincoln. He states, and I quote, "America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we have destroyed ourselves from within." Again, thank you for letting me express my views. Now the time is, anybody else want to speak on this matter? There's plenty of time for you to do that. Does anyone else want to comment on this matter?
I think you covered it very well, Gary.
Okay, Joe. Well, thank you, Joe, but I wanted to have equal time for those who, I can hear my dog in the background. Okay, thank you. Well, let's move on.
Time?
Steve,
Are you giving your dog equal time?
I should give my dog equal time, you know. So, hey, thanks, Gogi. Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda, which consists of minutes of our May 12th meeting, Board of Appeals and Equalization. B, minutes of the May 18th meeting, the local Board of Appeal. C, minutes of the May 18th regular meeting. D is receipts. E, bills and payroll. And letter F, communications. I so move to accept the consent agenda. Do I have support?
Support.
Thanks, Joe. Any discussion on that? None being Amanda, can we have roll, please?
Falco,
Don't I go last?
Skogman,
Yes.
Kriebig,
Yes,
Danaway,
Yes.
Buria,
Yes.
Galco.
Yeah, there you go, man. You did it right. Thanks, Amanda. I'll vote yes. Okay, we go to public forum. Anybody, I guess, no, I have no public there unless my neighbor just walked by. We could put him on Zoom, but nothing there. We move to item 4, committee and staff reports. Just one, again, that comment, I want to address the whole board, and maybe Steve, you want to comment to, or Al, but I do want to again mention the passing of Councilman Al Stanaway's father, and Steve's Skogman would be father-in-law. He's like wife Linda's father, Lloyd Stanaway, just passed away. I got to know Lloyd fairly well, my wife too, and he will be missed by many. Lloyd was a very neat person, and I remember his 90th birthday party was sharing some laughs with them, and sharper and heck, and Lloyd, you will be missed by many. Just, and my condolences to all the Stanaways and the Stanaway family. And another passing I want to mention was, he wasn't from Mountain Iron, but I want to mention Brent Hinkle. Brent Hinkle was a employee for several years, was employed in the city of Mountain Iron. And he was passed away in Eveleth a few days ago. And I think it was sad. I think Brent was only 56 years old. So again, sending our condolences to Brent, the family of Brent Hinkle. So anybody else have anything that I missed there?
yeah, I would just like to add, yeah, I have talked to Counselor Stanaway and Skogman, and again, I just want to publicly give my condolences to the loss of their father and father-in-law. I've met him also, a great guy, great family, lived a great life. I know he'll be missed, but my sympathy goes to all your family.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Okay, moving on to city administrator's report. I think we have Craig over there. Hey, Craig,
Oh, Mr. Mayor,
good to hear your voice. Craig, anything to add, Craig?
just a few things. Today we opened the campground. We already have guests out there, so that's a good sign. We're having some internet issues, but we've got our tech people working on getting internet service out there so we can really ramp up on the reservations. We have the same caretakers we had last year. They're manning the fort out there. They started this morning. Well, they actually started yesterday doing some mowing and cleaning up. So everything's rolling out there. I want to let you know Mountain Manor got approved for a 0% partially forgivable loan through the Minnesota Housing Finance Agency to do some remodeling of the interior, doing some new appliances, countertops, carpeting, fixing or replacing the elevator because of age.
Oh, yeah.
So that will be proceeding hopefully this summer. DW Jones did a lot of work on that to get that secured.
Okay, great.
They've got it for this facility and a number of their other facilities. So we're figuring out a schedule of what's going to work and when those things will be undertaken. And one of the questions I have is, I'm getting some calls and requests about summer rec programs opening up. I know I sent an email out. I got, limited response on that, but I think, the other cities around here are beginning with those. There's guidelines out there for social distancing and what needs to be done for each type of program, whether it's baseball, softball, I even seen football, soccer. Is that something we want to proceed with? And then if we do, we got to get going. I think that right now, like, some of the coaches can't have contact with the kids until June 15th because they also coach high school. It's mainly Jesse White and Johnson, I think, from the school coaches baseball. So
Yeah, Corey.
Corey Johnson, yeah.
Yeah, I know that if I'm correct, Craig, the baseball, like minors and majors and things like that, maybe the T-ball, and that's a joint effort with some of our cities, and the girls softball too. So that has to be, a joint effort with those communities. I know some of the local things we have, like tennis and, are more internal, but I don't know if feedback, it's boy, is Joe, anybody comments? I know Joe's on the rec board, any other counselors? I know that one, we almost have to work with the other cities on that baseball, softball things.
Yeah. I got that email also and responded to Craig. And if we could get a clarification from our attorney, Mr. Lindsay. And I don't know if you all got the memo on that or not, but he did give us some type of advisement. This is to Craig. He says, I have been advised under the current order that during the phase, softball leagues, games would not be viable. I have been advising that practices are permissible so long as that 10-person and social distancing measures are observed. It is anticipated that the mover into the next phase will permit softball leagues and games to move forward. I know many communities are putting their leagues on standby to start at midsummer. So I think with that being said, that is kind of the guidelines that we have. The other question I had was, we do have a policy that we passed at the last meeting that we cannot have gatherings of more than 10 people on city property, which softball would be. So with that being said, I think we'd have to give a variance or
Amend it.
lift the
What we'd have to do is
proclamation that we
modify,
made,
Joe,
or
we'd have to modify that policy, that's all.
well, okay, so you got a policy, but there is room in there for people to come up with to get a permit, but I don't think we can start making exceptions. We have to look at the policy and base it on that.
If you remember what I said about that policy is that basically what we'd be doing is following the governor's lead on when we could open things. We wouldn't necessarily keep things closed if the governor said things could be open. And if he's, I sent back a reply to Craig on this. I'd like to wait until we see what the next phase is from the governor, what his next phase is about. And if it okays that kind of stuff, then that'd be fine.
Well, that's exactly what I just said, Steve, that our attorney advised that everything's put on hold until the phase 3 takes effect. So that's what Mr. Lindsay is advising.
And I go along with that 100%.
Yeah, it sounds like the kids could still practice if they use their social distancing or whatever, but I guess I don't know what the other towns are going to do about it. Craig, have you heard anything about any of the other communities?
Well, I know for sure Virginia is starting up their softball program. Councilor Prebig, I've heard from other cities that are starting both of them. Evelyn was one. I believe Virginia is another one. And you're correct that it right now, until further notice, it would be practices only would be permittable. And there's some strict guidelines on what those would look like, you know, as far as 10 people in a pod, they call it. And for baseball, there'd be a maximum of 3 pods out there, so a maximum of 30 people, including coaches. There'd be 0 interaction between the pods. The pods would need to remain the same every practice, not new people added, new people, you know, sending people in, sending people out. So that's the stipulations right now. If we want to move forward, you know, the biggest question we have right now is that we've got to go through some kind of sign up process. And if we're planning on moving forward, we'd like to get that started sooner than later. That's why I brought it here.
Yeah, I know there was there were some guidelines, and there was also Jesse White had a link where you could look at the liability policies. There was a liability waiver there. And again, I guess, I don't know if you were able to touch base with Mr. Lindsay, but I guess one of my questions also was that with that waiver, is it, what is the validity of it and the protection to the city? Is it a waiver that was, is enforceable or will protect the city, or who developed that waiver, and how enforceable is it?
Yeah. And you know, the thing that gets a little bit alarming is that even if you don't start games, right now it's a practice, you know, if you don't start games till almost midsummer, you know, you're going to have a very short season, because by August 1st, if there's football, those kids are ready by August 1st, they're getting into football already and stuff. I mean, some of this is a timeline here too, but it wouldn't hurt, like you said, Joe, just to check the guidance. I'm doing that, but I mean, there's a realistic.
I think we're talking about softball here, Gary. I don't think a lot of those girls are playing football, but I know what you mean.
You never know. Equality, so, but though I know some of the starting, like Evelyn's just starting their baseball too, Joe, and they're in our league.
If I remember that memo that went out, it would say it looked like it was only going to be a 30-day period that they'd actually play games.
Right. Yeah.
The question is going to be when we're going to let them start practicing them.
Well, I think we can allow that now, Craig. Is that under our policy that we have? Can we allow a practice with that policy we have in place on city property?
Councillor Prebig, I wouldn't feel comfortable answering that. All I'm comfortable with saying is that right now, as of June 1st, the state is allowing that.
While we're starting the process of getting some answers, is it possible to start with a sign up for these programs, and should things go south or should things pass and everything is fine, we can move forward, but at least we'll have some signups, and you'll know what possible team sizes and the like would possibly be.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think, Al, just to sign in, it's different. I know we used to do this, and correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, through you know, school sign. We used to get them right to the kids at school and that, but somehow, you know, on Facebook or ever how we doing it to get us start the registration process. It may not, you know, the numbers may not be there. We may not be able to even go. The league may not go, but you still have to get a sign up to see where you're at.
And that's going to be a week to 10 days for a sign up
right
duration anyway.
So can you have Brian Lindsay make an amendment to that resolution? You don't even have to rewrite it for sports. And, you know, I have another question. So I guess I'm not understanding, if you can have 3 pods of teams out there practicing, but you can't have a game. I guess I'm not understanding, and what difference 30 days is going to make, or all of a sudden magically you can play and now.
Well, I think Julie, I think part of it is the 3 pods is to keep the players separate, but under our policy that we just adopted last week.
Yeah, you can amend that part, but what I'm getting at is if Virginia and them are going to do it, And the guidelines, it's like 30 days, all of a sudden it's gonna be fine. And you can play games. So that's,
Well, I'm
I
just-
guess where that's a hang up on my end.
Yeah, well, I guess my point is if you have games and you have, say, 15 players and coaches per team, and you have adults, it sounds like they're allowing one adult per player to attend, and they said nothing about children that may accompany. Well, you may be having 60, 70 people at one softball game. Well, that just contradicts our proclamation that we made last week. So I guess that's what I'm concerned about.
Right, you think that could
We
be,
got a proclamation. How are we going to enforce it, or how are we going to change it, or whatever? But
Yeah.
I agree with Al. I think it's a good idea to get started on it and everything, and
see where it goes.
maybe
And then
the 3 will kick in before before they can start.
I think
Because
if we start the sign up process, by the time we're done with that, we'll have another proclamation or set of rules to follow from the governor, and we can go from there.
Yeah, and our next meeting is on the 15th, if need be, and then we could, like Julie said, we could make, if we have to make a modification to that proclamation, just to make an amendment to it, we could do it on the 15th. But I think the starting point should be just registration, see where we go.
Well, then I
And
think the other question, excuse me, the other question would be practicing. I know the teams would like to start practicing before they, play a game schedule. So I guess how are we going to adapt to just having them practice, I guess, first?
Well, it kind of
Because they'll
sounds
have
like,
to do that obviously before they play.
it kind of sounds like the coaches can't be there for a while until about the 15th. And so that it would kind of be like captain's practices, I would think. And you see kids playing in groups all over town. So I don't think it'd be much different than that.
Well, I think like Craig said, though, I think if you're a high school coach, like Jesse is, then you can't start till the 15th. But I think like our rec program, I think those coaches can start ahead of time, can't they? Craig, if they're not in a high school league?
That is correct, Councilor Prefect. They could begin technically holding practices today.
Okay.
If we had to sign up, we didn't know that this was going to be permissible.
But we have
At
coaches.
the last meeting. We have a number of, Councilor Skogman, we do have a number of coaches lined up already. We've already been doing some of that background with coaches and umpires. There may be a few that we've got to pick up somewhere along the line. But again, that's going to depend on numbers. So I think you guys are going down the right path with starting registration and seeing what we have by the 15th. It's going to take us a week or week and a half to get that all sorted out into what it's going to look like.
Yeah, so why don't we, Craig, you summed up, why don't we go forward with that and see where we're at then, and we can always make changes to the thing, but I think we got to get started somewhere right now. And I agree. I think Al was the one who started. I agree with Al, just to set that process and see where we're at.
Start the sign up on it and move forward after that.
Okay, any other questions of Craig?
Yes, I would just want to know if we ever got that air conditioner for the caretakers out of the campground.
I would defer to Mr. Satring there.
Okay,
Councilor
'cause
Berea.
it may have been at the end of the summer when I talked to that one out there and he said, it gets pretty hot in here. I'm wondering if we'd be able to get an air conditioner.
I'll take a look at it tomorrow.
Oh, thanks, Tim.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. Thanks. Good question, Joe. Anything else? Okay, none.
One other
Greg,
thing, Mr. Mayor, just for Councilor Skogman, this is Mountain Iron, so football is starting the 15th of June.
That's right. Thanks, Craig. We kind of figured that. So, okay. Thank you much. We're like the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, thanks, Craig. Let's move on to Director of Public Works. Hey, Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, anything to comment on, Tim?
There's just a few comments I'll make. We did have a water line break and people noticed on Highway 7 on the 19th of May. So there was a lot of traffic. Our crews did a great job of repairing it underneath a couple large gas lines. We did meet with the engineering company designing the new water filters in our water treatment plant. So that project is coming up. We did some of the final decision making on it. We've been rebuilding some of our distribution pumps that will be running our system while the water tower is under construction. And we've been in discussion with the district engineer with the health department on the treatment process during while this whole multiple projects are going to happen with our water treatment plant and our tanks and everything else. So just wanted to fill you up on some fill you in on some projects that were taking place, and I'd also like to give my condolences to Councillor Stanaway and the passing of his dad. We had him for a bus driver for years and was a good family friend, and my condolences to the Hinkle family as well.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim. Anything else, Tim?
That's it. Unless I had any questions.
Any questions? Oh, thanks, Tim, for everything. Okay, item D, we just did. You were C, Tim. I can't keep track. Now we're at D, Library Director, Special Events Coordinator Report. Anna, I believe she's on the phone. You there, Anna?
Anna, Mr. Mayor, Anna was unsure that she'd be able to attend. I guess her husband had some sort of procedure and she was on her way back from Duluth and didn't know when she'd be back on.
Okay, thanks, Craig. No problem. Let's hope everything's all right. Okay, now we go to, well, it's not last, but one of the best, Sheriff's Department report. John, anything to add if he's there? Are you there, John?
I am here.
Hey, Johnny,
Can you hear me?
Are you in the car again?
I'm not. I'm in my house actually, but we again have bear problems being caused by people feeding bears in the Parkville area. And unfortunately, this bear has absolutely no fear of humans. And I've been in discussion with the DNR, and I find a high probability that this bear's going to have to be destroyed. And it's human choices to feed bears, and this one's been fed by hand.
Oh,
and wow. We only have a couple days to get this bear to flee the city. I'm currently using pepper spray when we see it, but my fear is that I don't believe the bear is going to get angry and attack somebody, but somebody's been feeding it peanut butter sandwiches by hand, and I'd hate for a person or a child to be walking around with a peanut butter sandwich and something bad happens. So again, as I said last year, they're wild animals and they need to be kept wild and not habituated to humans. So,
John, is there any option with the DNR to live trap that bear and remove it first or not?
No, live trapping, as a matter of fact, has been stopped by the DNR. They don't do that except in extreme situations. And, I could give you an example from the late 90s where they trapped a bear in Duluth. They let it go 125 miles away in Koochiching County, and it was killed in a traffic accident the next day in downtown Duluth. So you can bring them 125 miles away, and it's only good for 24 hours. They know where they are and they know how to get there. So trapping them is just not a feasible recommendation. And this is about 100-pound bear, and it would have to be destroyed.
Anything
John,
else?
that bear's been in my yard twice. Once at 11 o'clock in the morning, I went out my back door and there it was in my backyard. And another time I got it on one of my cameras at 5:30 in the morning. So he's well traveled.
John, I have
Go
one more question for you. I know yesterday they had a peaceful demonstration in Virginia. Did we have any outpouring or any businesses in Mountain Iron that were affected by that at all?
Did you
There
hear
was
it?
some verbalization that there would be some destruction in Mountain Iron. There wasn't. We had nothing in Mountain Iron. My department did participate in events in various cities, including Duluth, Virginia, and Minneapolis, with this going on. But in Mountain Iron, we've had nothing, and the demonstration in Virginia was nothing but a demonstration. It was people were well behaved, and the point was made.
Hey, John, I want to thank you just the trying times for keeping me posted, and I really appreciate. I thank you, John, for what you're doing, and let the guys, your staff, know too that they are appreciated. So thanks, John. And the
Thank
staff.
you.
Okay, anyone else? I'll go.
Joe, and one response to your question there was one local business that did take precautionary measures, and they emptied their firearms and their ammunition from their sporting goods department and moved it off their showroom floor. So they did take precautionary measures.
Okay, Al.
Okay, Al, thank you.
Thanks, Al. Okay, moving on. Thanks, John. We go to item, letter F, the city engineers report. I know, is Al here?
I'm here, John, Gary.
Hey, Al. Good to.
The only thing I really have to add is we have a pre-construction meeting at 9 a.m. on the 4th at our office for Mountain Iron Drive, if anyone would like to attend.
At 9 and in your office, 9 o'clock Thursday.
Correct.
Okay, thanks, Al. Anything else, or any questions for Al or anything? Okay, hey, Al, thanks. And, thanks for all you do, Al.
Yep.
Okay, G is liaison reports. Do we have anything there? Moving on to H. I think this was an add-on, Skog. Small business support. Steve, if you want to comment on that.
What I would propose is that we as a city take a look at what we can do to help our small businesses that have been affected by this coronavirus. I think that maybe what we should do is a couple of things. One, get together with our council, with with Brian, and see what we could draft up for support. Maybe like the restaurants and the liquor stores, the bars, if they need to adjust their seating and build someplace to put people outside, that maybe we could forego the cost of the building permits or just charge them $1 or something like that. Maybe because of the loss of business, maybe we could rebate something on the liquor licenses. But the second part of that is, I think that maybe we should sit down with some of the businesses, invite them to a meeting and see what it is that we could do. And they might have ideas that we can't do, and they should know that. And that's my proposal, that we do something.
Do you want to put that in a motion or something, Steve, right? Or I'm not sure what, or do you?
Well, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that I said that so that you know where I'm going on this, and I'll make a motion that we explore helping our small businesses with some kind of support from the city during this COVID-19 pandemic.
And part of it, right, with our legal team, like, would be involved, Brian's, to know.
Well, yeah, that's all into that. That's
okay. Skog, motion by Skog with the legal thing. Do we have support for Steve's motion?
I'll support that.
Okay, I think, Al, you were there first. Joe's a little slow today, a little slow. I think
Yeah.
he was eating on his big steak over there, so he was a little slow. Okay, motion by Steve, support by Al. Any further discussion on that?
Craig, has any of the businesses kind of reached out to us already? I know that the sawmill is building another deck out there. Was that kind of that process put through ahead of time and everything? Have any of the businesses reached out to the city through you at all for any guidance or anything?
Councilor Preveg, businesses have reached out, two of them, the sawmill and BG's, more concerning procedural matters, nothing in financial form. The question from the sawmill was about a building permit for the deck. Referred them to Mr. Green, our commercial building inspector, and they worked through the process there so they could continue with the construction because it was kind of an afterthought with the permit. And BG's had contacted me about how the procedure would work of people coming in at one at a time and getting a beer from the bar and then going back outside and using the bathroom in there. I said, well, it's really no different than what you're doing now with takeout food. So I don't see what the difference would be.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would quite contact Joe just with Ryan Horan, the owner of Sawmill. So they went through us because they put quite a bit of money into this venture, to get it ready with that new big deck and buying furniture. So I know they were open for business today. I stopped there. They did a nice job on that deck too. So they're going as of today. And I think BG's is open. I don't know about Max if they got their outdoor. No, they're not, Craig says, but I think BG's is serving outdoors as is the sawmill. Okay, thanks, Craig, Joe. Okay, thanks. Wait, did we vote on that?
No,
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0. Last one there, aye, Steve. I think it's a Highway 53 support their project. Could you-
yeah, I attended a virtual meeting on that today, and I just want to report on what they were saying. They have a publication that they're going to send out showing where the construction is in the timeline and stuff. And we talked about a few other things. They were just going to put it on their website for people to see. But we talked about publishing it in both the Mesaba Daily News and the Hometown Focus. Virginia wants a presentation from the state just before they start so that they know what's going on. They're not going to close both intersections at the same time. I suggested that if they're going to give a presentation to the city of Virginia, Virginia still meets in their council chambers. So theirs are filmed, and there's enough people in the area that watch both council meetings. They can get the information just from the Virginia filming it. They don't have to come to the city of Mountain Iron and give a presentation. They're going to have they hadn't thought about this till I brought it up, but they're going to make a map of the reroute and see if they can't get that published too. They're going to send copies to the cities. So if we've got places that we want to post them, we can. And the reroute, they're not going to use Mountain Iron Drive. So we're free to go ahead and update our street there.
Okay. Okay.
That's it. It was only a half hour long. It was short and sweet, and there wasn't many of us attending, but that's
Well, thanks, Steve, for that. Anybody have any questions for Steve or anything? No. Well, thanks, Steve, for that report. And it's
we'll probably learn more on Thursday from Alan.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Exactly. Well, thanks much, Skogs. Item 6, unfinished business. There's none. We go to item 7, new business. We have one item. It's more of a formality, but we better take care of it. The caretakers agreement, pages 12 through 13, it looks like. Can we act on that? The caretakers agreement out at the campgrounds.
Yeah, this is our basic agreement with the caretakers, just naming the person, Jody Hammer, that will be managing the campground. And whatever adjustment in play there is usually as they keep working in the area. Craig, there wasn't any other, I don't see any other real changes on here. We just basically have to approve the hiring of Ms. Hammer.
That's correct, Counselor Prepag. The only thing that's changed in there, of course, is the time frame when they're expected to be there. Since they didn't start in the middle of May, they started June 1st. The pay is the same as last year.
Her husband does a lot of help with her, right, Craig? Is he out there too? Is it I mean, she's the contract, but does he work with her out there?
Yes, he does, Mr. Mayor. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much, Craig. Joe, you want to put that in the form of a motion?
I will. I'll make a motion that we hire Miss Jody Hammer as caretaker for the West Two River campgrounds and adopt the caretaker agreement as presented.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Motion by Joe. Do we have support?
Support.
Thanks, Joe. Any discussion on that? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried 5-0. We go to communications, pages 14 through 22. Anything there anybody wants to discuss or bring up or? I think there's
Tim, I take it that this report is saying that our water is safe to drink.
That is correct, Councillor Skogman. This is a requirement. We post this every year. It's a requirement by the Minnesota Department of Health, and you read into it, it shows that we're compliant with all federal and state water quality laws and rules. So if anybody has any questions, we can go over it, or anybody in the public wants to know any more information about our water system or our reports, they can certainly get a hold of us.
thanks, Tim.
Craig, I also see that we have a certificate for compliance. Could you kind of mention that a little bit? I know that's kind of through your work that's happened.
Mr. Prepag, that demonstrates that we comply with pay equity. We're required to do this report every 3 years, which basically states that we're paying equally for each job class, whether it's male or female, based upon the duties and obviously not based upon the sex of the person doing the job. And it shows once again that we are in compliance. We've been in compliance probably for the last 5 or 6 times. So we're doing a good job. The Personnel Committee does a good job of keeping that in line through their negotiations with the unions, and just shows that we don't discriminate against anybody. So
Team
Very
effort.
good.
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
Okay, with that being said, we move to 9, which is announcements. I know one thing I want to just wrap, I've done it every meeting since we've been on our virtual here, but I want to continue to thank all the essential workers in this country, the healthcare, everybody, all the essential workers, from the meat processors to the truck drivers, to keeping this nation going. And we forget, on this virus, it's still very active out there in some states. It's rising, and I hate to say it, with all these large protests or whatever you call, it's going to jumpstart again right here, probably Minnesota, just like Wisconsin's jump-started there when they opened the state up 2 weeks ago. So they had some record confirmed cases and deaths in Wisconsin the last few days. So the COVID-19 is still very much alive. But like I said, I think that virus, we are going to destroy it. We're going to defeat it. And hopefully down the road, we'll become a lot stronger and smarter and even maybe kinder. Anybody else with some announcements before we end the show here?
Gary, is John still on? John Beckman?
I think so, John, or I don't know. John, are you there? He might have been playing with his dog, I think.
Okay.
No.
Somebody
no.
had just texted me
I'm
while
here. Oh, John's here. Go ahead.
John, I just had somebody from Parkville text me while we are doing the meeting that they're still hearing gunshots in the mornings. And like by the old railroad tracks on Second Street.
Ask them to call in when they hear it.
Okay, all righty. Thank you,
Thank you.
John.
Okay, John. Yeah, thanks, John. Okay, with that being said, I so move to adjourn. Do I have support?
Support.
Thanks, Joel. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carry 5-0. Take care, everybody. Stay safe, healthy, and we'll see you on June 15th. Take care. Hey, Dar, are you there? Is Dar still there?
Yeah,